I'm with Denise Lewis, Olympian. Denise, first question is why is racial equity so important within sport specifically?
We start in sport with the premise that sport is for everyone. And over the years, you realise that actually it isn't, it hasn't been. I think some of our leading sort of federations, NGBs, have lost sight that there has not been enough inclusivity at all levels through sport, and particularly at executive senior management level. The glass ceiling still does exist. And so today, the summit, which has been 2 days of fantastic sharing information, understanding about the challenges and the barriers that limit mobility and diversity and inclusivity, are heard, and it's been fantastic.
What are some of the main risks that organisations face if they don't get it right when it comes to racial equity?
A lack of talent. You're missing out on a whole talent pool, skill sets, perspective, when you choose just to look through your own lens and the lens of people that look exactly like you. And so if you want to broaden your organisation, if you want to really reach communities and strengthen your organisation, you've got to get on board. You mustn't get left behind. You know, I keep saying, describing it as a portal. And I used to think, maybe in my years in sport, that this conversation will never really get had. It won't, engender, and no one will have the confidence to really talk about the topics that really matter. And the feeling that a lot of people of colour and underrepresented communities face. But time is now. Get on board.
Which organisations are leading the way when it comes to racial equity?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think some organisations really do well, but they haven't still quite got to where they need to be. And I talked earlier in my first question, your first question to me was at senior management level, we still aren't seeing enough coaches coming through in football of BAME communities, referees. We're not seeing people sitting on boards that have that, different perspective, different lens. I'd like to think, the board that I'm sitting on, which is the Commonwealth Games England, have really worked hard over the last 4 to 5 years in trying to bridge some of the gaps that were present on that board, i.e. the gender disparity, the diverse nature of the board, and having more women and women of colour, men of colour on that board. So I think we're doing well. We're listening, we're understanding that we need to move forward. I think there's still a lot of work to be done.
In one sentence, why is racial equity so important?
It's a right. It's an absolute right. We need to have that agenda. We need to have that parity. So it's a right, and it's fair.